Alrighty, we are now going to hammer in some U-joints. And the reason I hammer my U-joints and not press them in is because the only time I've ever broken U-joints was trying to press them in. So, we're hammering them in. That has worked 100% of the time for me, and therefore I don't see a reason to change my habits as of yet. So, take two of the caps off the U-joint, as such. Insert the joint into the axle shaft. Put the cap back on. One of them as such. The other one goes in here. So before hammering on them, I'm going to put them in my bench vise, and I'm going to squeeze these caps together in slowly, just to make sure that everything's lined up correctly. Doing this in the vise makes sure that everything goes in smoothly before you hammer them on. And you can keep going until it becomes too hard to crank on the vise. But for now it's still going, though it is getting a little bit hard, so we might have to switch to the hammer. Yeah, I'm gonna switch to the hammer. There you go, C-clip is in. Let's see what that looks like. There you go. Come on, old Betsy. There you go.
Replacing the shafts is very simple. You remove the wheel, brake caliper, and brake rotor. If your rotor is seized to the hub, you can leave the rotor on. You don't actually need to remove it to access the 3 bolts holding the hub. Remove the axle stub shaft nut before removing the hub. To stop the hub from turning, you can shift the transfer case into 4 high, 4 part-time, or 4 low, depending on your transfer case. You will need a 12-point 13mm socket to remove the hub bolts. It's an outer 12-point, not inner, so like the box end of a wrench. If rust has ruined the bolts too much, you can cut the heads off with an angle grinder. And because of that, before ordering parts, I would suggest you just take a look at your bolts visually, and if they look to be in bad shape, just order a replacement set right then and there so you can finish the whole job in one sitting in case you need to cut the bolts off. Reassembly is the reverse of removal. Support the axle shaft when inserting it into the axle and put it in slowly. Last thing you want to do is to knock the inner axle seal out. I strongly suggest you clean the knuckle with a wire brush to knock off any rust and to apply a coat of grease on all the mating surfaces between the hub and knuckle. I also grease the surface of the rotor where it meets the hub, and I like to grease the stub shaft splines as well. I will post the torque specs in the description below. Your hub bolts should be tight, but not so tight you can't pull the hub out in a trail repair should your joint blow up. Thank you for watching, and I will be posting another video soon enough about the differences between a CV joint and a U joint.